All right. Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
Me personally, no.
And why is that? Why is that?
I guess the first question I would have is how are they raising the animals? You know, to get if they're taking
Right.
or anything like that. I guess part of the reason why I'm vegetarian is that I don't believe animals should be in any way, I guess, taken in for our enjoyment. Even, I guess, like my belief is, learning more about circuses, zoos, and stuff like that. I believe that animals should just be in nature.
Right.
And then on top of that, I try to eat food which is most natural as possible. And especially the lifestyle that I live, I want to eat food that's more in the mode of goodness. And so I feel even like foods that are too high in protein, I try to generally avoid just because, like the lifestyle I lead, I want my mind to be peaceful, I want my mind to be calm. And taking certain foods, it'll trigger ignorance, it'll trigger passion, it'll trigger things in our body, in our mind that will keep me from living a healthy life. So I feel like I don't know, it's just how I cook, my wife cooks, and different foods that I have around me. I never get that desire in my mind, oh, I need a burger, I need a steak.
Right.
Even
Right.
it just kind of turns me on, even just like thinking about it.
Right. Interesting. Cool.
And I think I know that they're actually on the way to making this.
They're working on it. Absolutely. Yeah. They're working on it. Do you have friends that are vegans or vegetarians that you think would consider maybe trying it? I mean, do you know people that that are vegetarian for ethical reasons, that miss meat, but they don't eat it because of their concern for the animal, the care of, the welfare of the animal? Do you think they would consider eating it possibly to fill that void?
I think they probably might give it a go. But I don't think a lot of people will be into that synthetic meat. You're either going to be a meat eater, or like I would say there's probably people who eat eggs, people who eat, like they'll
Right.
This will allow them to kind of sway into eating meat. But I think for most vegetarians, I think that they will go for it.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you so much for your answer. What's up? Okay, here's the question. You ready?
I'm ready.
Now it's a little tricky with you because you're mostly a vegetarian anyway. So try and just answer the best you can. Use your imagination. I don't know what. Would you consider eating it? Would you buy it? Would you try it? What do you think about that?
It's a really hard question for me to answer because I wouldn't be interested in the beef burger either.
Exactly right. It's tough because.
And the truth is I would go for the real thing, probably.
Right.
But I wouldn't go for the real thing every day.
Right.
And meaning, let's put it this way. I will buy sushi in a grocery store that I know has crab stick in it.
Right.
It's not my preference, and if there's real crab, I'll have the real crab.
Right.
I think the thing is, the grown in some sort of weird set of circumstances, I think that industry is going to face a generational problem. Like, the nice thing about that product is it doesn't have the same carbon footprint, it doesn't have the ethical issues.
Exactly.
And I think 2 generations from now, when there's like no fossil fuel and when the world is going to hell in a handbasket, people will be eating that product if it's easily made. And they won't know the difference, or
Right.
Economically it will be a much more reasonable choice and people will make it because of that.
Right.
So,
Right.
but Would someone my age eat that over the real thing? Maybe for ethical reasons
Right.
or for price reasons if you're a big meat eater and if you buy that it's safe. But what does safe even mean? Does that mean it's as good, or that's it's the equivalent of beef in terms of the damage that it does? Because the beef is doing damage. Not entirely. Like, I don't believe that beef is like an inherently bad food, just like cows aren't inherently bad creatures. But do I think a lot of cow tissue belongs in a human body? No. So I don't think I'm really the person to ask, because I wouldn't make either choice, really. I mean, it's hard for me to even step into those shoes, because the beef I would have once a year. And if I had that kind of food once a year, would I pick the fake stuff over the real stuff? No.
Right.
I would pick the real stuff.
Right.
But I tell you, it may be that there's a point at which the fake stuff becomes so good and so available and so cheap and so and may have a lot fewer problems than the real thing. In which case the real thing becomes a really luxury, niche, expensive, morally ambiguous or morally
Exactly.
dangerous choice to make, and it becomes sexy because of that.
Right.
Do I believe they're ever going to be able to make the beef taste as good as the real stuff? You think so? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, show me a synthetic thing that tastes as good as the natural version, or is as good as the natural version.
Right,
That's a
right,
stretch.
right.
That's hard.
Right, of course.
But, you know, science is kind of amazing. So, I think there's a place for it in the market, no doubt.
Yeah.
But for me, no. But I wouldn't go for the beef in the first place. And I'm not going to start eating fake beef
Right, of course.
just because it's available.
Right.
I've lost my appetite for anything like that,
Right.
period.
Right, because your choice in not eating beef most of the time is it's not about ethical reasons. It's
No,
more
it's
about, more about
physical.
health.
I just have lost my appetite for it. I'm
Right.
just absolutely not attracted to it ever.
Right.
So I'm not going to go looking for an attraction to it because there's something available which is done in a lab
Right.
anyway. Like, I'm not attracted to that either. So it's
Right.
not even like, ooh, I could get into beef if it weren't so bad for me, if it wasn't a more ethical choice. Not if it's made in a lab. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not attracted to anything made in a lab.
Right. Well, it would be more akin to, say, we have hydroponic farms where we grow
Right.
tomatoes or whatever.
Right.
In a sheltered system, controlled environment, like you culture big vats of yogurt, at some point when they get it down to it, when they refine the science and the
Method.
manufacturing, it'll be something more akin to that where it's just, wouldn't be necessarily a lab, but, more akin to like a hydroponic farm or a yogurt or a brewery, something more like that,
Well, it's kind of like that stuff, corn. You ever
Right.
eaten corn?
Right.
I mean, it's a fungus.
It's a fungus, right?
And I like that shit.
So that's pretty good.
I like that shit.
That's pretty tasty. To me, that's like one of the closest things to the real chicken that you can get. Cool. Thank you so much.
What do you think of that mystery, man?
I love it. Keith,
Are we on?
we're on. Okay, so yes, fake meat. So if you were, I'm looking forward to the answer on this one. So yeah, if you were at a restaurant or a supermarket and you had the option to purchase and consume meat that was grown in a it's all about how you sell it through the wording of it, and I haven't found a way that because people often react, but
Definitely don't use petri dish.
exactly right. How would you if you were able to eat meat that was grown like a culture?
I wouldn't use that word either.
What
There's
word?
got to be a better word.
Think of so. I mean, help. I'm sure you're good at this because
I'm trying to think.
I mean,
Harvested
harvested
or like
or just meat that's grown without the need to slaughter an animal, to raise and slaughter
that's a good way
an
to
animal.
start, but you're gonna have to explain to people like what
Right.
do you mean by that? Like,
Right.
you take like a little, like you cut a little chunk out of the animal's arm,
Right.
put it in a dish.
That's what they're doing.
That's
Yeah.
what they're doing.
That's what they're doing. And,
How are these cells replicating? Like, you
um,
know what I mean?
it's just it's like a nutrient solution. Well,
No, I don't know. I haven't
it's
thought
it's
about this.
it's like you grow bacteria, you put it in a solution that the cells can divide. So if you saw it on the menu, would you consider eating it? Would you?
Depends on my mood.
Yeah.
It seems like it would definitely be something to try.
So
Like,
you
from
you would
the,
try it.
standpoint of like, it just sounds kind of nutty. You kinda
Just
wanna-
out of curiosity,
yeah,
you
eat
try it.
turtle soup or whatever. I would sure I would try it.
And that's because you're adventurous and you would take.
I guess
It's more out
my
of
mood.
curiosity.
Like if I was in a restaurant and just wanted to eat some like normal food, I'd be like.
Right.
But if you're like, all like out and
Yeah.
it seemed like it'd be part of the fun, whatever.
Okay. What if you're out and let's say we're in some hypothetical future where the price of real meat is like just skyrocketed, and you've got an option of a lab grown hot dog, or a real hot dog made from real traditionally slaughtered animals. The real hot dog is say triple, quadruple the price of the other. Both hot dogs taste the same. They're both healthy. I mean, well, healthy is not the word, but safe. I mean, relatively safe. Like the lab grown meat would be.
Equally carcinogenic.
Yeah, not yeah. One's not. Would you be tempted out of a price difference to choose the lab grown meat? And try that.
Yeah, it would affect the decision. I mean,
Correct.
doing it more than once, like
Right.
for one time, what the hell?
Right,
But
right,
if
right.
I started to think about it and it tasted okay, I'd want to know how it actually happened, like how that meat was grown,
Right.
like what solvents are put in there. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. What if the process was completely disclosed, transparent, and it was safe, and they
I
weren't
mean, and once
yeah.
I knew that,
Once you knew
understood
that.
then it would, then it'd be a different decision.
right.
It's hard to say after. I would definitely try it. If I knew that it was just like, a little sample of cells or whatever that was put into, whatever, some kind of device, and it just naturally regenerated itself. It sounds retarded to state it this way,
Mhm.
but if you knew the process was harmless and not some weird chemicals and solvents,
Right.
and it just generated itself, and you looked at it and you could see it raw, and you're like, it looks,
Yeah.
it feels, and smells the exact same. In that case, I would, it's hard to say if I would definitely choose that meat over regular meat, but it would definitely be a factor knowing that, like, I didn't have to kill an animal
Right.
to eat this, because in
Right.
all reality, I don't know about you, like, usually when I go get a burrito and I want a chicken burrito, I'm not envisioning the chicken getting its head cut off. And when I do, sometimes I don't want the chicken burrito anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like usually you're just in the world and you're like, well, chicken's good,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. You don't think of it much. You just.
No, but
Yeah.
if you had like it presented to you, and you knew the new meat or whatever was, and no animal was killed,
Yeah.
and you were conscious of that fact as you were going to order your meal, I would lean in that direction. So
Right.
if they marketed it to keep that fact in people's minds, maybe more people would
Right.
make that decision. Because most of the decision, when I start to think about it, I don't like the idea of killing an animal and eating it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems unnecessary. I don't know. But tomorrow at noon, call me and be like, "What are you having for lunch?" I'll probably be having
Right.
a carnitas burrito or some shit.
Right. Exactly.